If we hold on tight, we'll keep going till we reach new heights, going further than we ever thought we could. We're on to something good. We won't let go.
And welcome again to another episode of The Connection Currency. We're really excited to have you here. I'm excited for who we're going to chat to today. So, in our world full of noise and hustle, I believe the real growth comes from connection. It's not from performance. So, with this in mind, the connection currency was formulated. There's no right or wrong polished answers here. I'm turning up without makeup today, as you might notice. Um, we're all being ourselves. I'm just curious about businesses, what lights them up, how they get where they are, or the struggles that they're going through even. Some of us are doing this quietly. Some of us are really tired. Some of us are succeeding beyond our wildest dreams, but we're still doubting ourselves internally. I'm hoping that by creating an aligned community that feels supported, connected, and empowered. And my wish is to connect and collaborate with all in this authentic way. The connection currency, it it's words we throw out there, but it is a currency to use in business, and it shouldn't be feel like you're just shoving your business card at somebody who will probably never look at it again. It should be true collaboration, connection, and getting to know each other. So, with that in mind, I'd like to welcome the beautiful Stacey Barrass from Goddess Cleaning Group. Hello, Stacey, and welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Well, thank you. Well, thank you on this sunny day in Queensland. I don't know what it's like for you down in Melbourne.
It's actually really lovely. So we're
Yeah,
in the same boat.
yeah, that's great. That's great. Okay, so we'll kick off. Why did you start your business? What happened that you were doing something or whatever, and you all of a sudden went, oh my gosh, I should formalize this. I've got my own business.
That's a really good question, Robin, because to be honest, when I was growing up, I never aspired to being a cleaner. I didn't think that it was going to be an industry for me. Um, but unfortunately, I suffered family violence. So my background primarily is in recruitment and training and administration. I had a really, great career, and my boys at that time were very young, three sons, 18 months, 4 and 7, and there's no such thing as flexible workplaces 15 years ago. So I thought, well, I'll just work part time during school hours. I can do school drop off, school pickup. I can do kinder pick up, drop off, and also creche. Boys were young, they needed someone around. And really, as a solo parent, you've got to kind of wear a lot of different hats and be everywhere all at the same time. And I ended up calling a cleaning agency and asked them, did they have any roles that I could fill in the cleaning space in my general local area? And the gentleman on the end of the phone actually didn't ask me anything about my skills or qualifications. He just point blank said, how many hours could you offer us? And when I mentioned about 12, I wanted to work 3 days a week, 4 hours a day. He bluntly responded with, unless you're prepared to give us 20 hours, it's not worth it for us. So I actually thought, okay, how many other women are now in my position where we need to have access to our children to keep them safe? We need to attend, legal appointments. We need to attend court. We need to speak to police and make statements. Surely it couldn't be this difficult to find a role for someone who really needs to go to work, put food on the table, a roof over their head. So I started a cleaning business by myself. I sent an email out to everyone on my Outlook contacts saying I'm going to start doing home organisation and decluttering with a little bit of cleaning on the side. And within 2 weeks, I had my first client. And within a number of months, I was fully booked. So working 4 days at that stage and really needed a day off to still be able to do court appearances and everything else that I needed to do. After that period of time, I had a girlfriend approach me, and a neighbour of hers was experiencing the same with regards to some disadvantage, and so I gave her my client base, and then I went out and sourced new client base, and then I just built from there on in. So 15 years later, we currently have a team of 70 across Victoria and Brisbane, and we've supported more than 500 individuals through the platform. So, the individuals who face barriers to employment, they may not have employment history, or they're experiencing family violence, and they can't get back into the workforce. And those where English is their second language.
Mm.
They're highly skilled individuals, and have quite high qualifications, Robin, but they just can't get a job here. They can't convert their quals here. So may have to go back and start where they can get some skills and some experience and some English language knowledge.
Mm, mm. Yeah, actually, I have a little bit of experience back in my history of that when I was in event management in City Hall. We had the most qualified cleaners that were doctors and lawyers working in our staff, and they were just all wonderful. And yeah, they were madly working during the day, studying at night time to um, cross certify their qualifications. So, so having said that, there's lots of things I can imagine just lights you up on a day-to-day basis. What lights you up and keeps you going when you find it like tough, when you find it hard going? As business owners, we all go, oh, should I keep doing this? Should I retire? What should let somebody else manage it? What are the things that lights you up? What motivates you and keeps you going?
For me personally, it's being able to have a very small part in impacting someone's ability to be able to get a job, for them to be able to put food on the table, for them to be able to put, the lights on, the heater on in winter. But it's the other little things as well, like supplying them with the opportunity is kind of what lights me up, because I'll give anyone an opportunity and then it's up to them. If they want to come to work, they will. If they want to learn extra skills, they will. They'll take that on board. And then it's the little things, the impact that comes back. They've been able to send their child on a camp. They've
Yeah.
been able to get their child some more school uniform, or they've been able to enroll them in the local community sports program. It's those
Mm.
little things that when I put my head down at night, I think to myself, this is what we've been able to do.
Oh, wow. Yeah. How many lives are you changing? Like, wow. Wow. When we talk about return on investment, that's probably the most powerful thing that you can do is give a child an opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah. And then generational wise, you kind of start breaking that
Yeah.
cycle for them.
Yeah.
The child doesn't grow up in disadvantage. They
Mm.
start to see the benefit of, their parent going out to work and taking responsibility and making that little shift. And hopefully, that younger generation sees that and sort of embraces that and says, okay, well, what can I do?
Yeah.
As they grow, what can I do?
Yeah, that's just fantastic. That's just wonderful. It's yeah, it's really lights up my heart when I hear those sort of things. So, yeah, you're just changing the world. And you say 500, and then when you think about those families you've impacted on, and it just grows. Yeah, that snowball effect is wonderful. So, so in business, you say that your neighbour's friend had an issue. We all find we have to connect in business and sometimes collaborate. I don't know if you do collaborations, but who or what helped you the most with connection? Like, how did you get, how did you go from being that sole entrepreneur with somebody else helping you to people knowing about your business and being out there? How did that come about?
So for me, I was very reluctant to do marketing. We certainly haven't done any paid marketing or advertising. And I did meet a woman about 6 years ago who said to me, Stacey, you're like the best kept secret in cleaning
Yeah.
industry. And I thought that was fantastic, but it actually wasn't, because you don't want to be the best kept secret, because that doesn't help build your business or, increase your revenue or increase your capacity to impact lives. So,
Mm,
yeah, I kind of took it on board. So the beautiful Peace Mitchell at the Osmumpreneur and Women Changing the World group really opened my eyes to, if I'm going to stay the best kept secret, this is where I'm going to be, or I can start talking about my business, the impact that we have, basically to those that are interested. And
mm,
I found that sort of women's group enabled me to build some confidence talking within to then be able to talk outside of that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the connections come when you start sharing your story and you create a link to the person who's hearing it. And they'll either take that on board and think, wow, there's something here. And I think that our company or our organization can collaborate or
Mm.
work with this person. Or if they can't, what I've found, Robin, is they actually will refer me to somebody else. They'll
Yeah.
say, hey, I've heard about this. This organization is great. Do you think that, you could work with them, or do you have any way that you could collaborate with them? So I found that kind of, slowly sharing the story, letting people know what the impact is of the business. It's, I
Yep.
don't drive around in a Mercedes or a Ferrari or
Me
anything. And,
neither.
being a social enterprise, where the profits go back into the
Yeah.
business
Yeah.
is more than just your revenue targets. It's actually about doing good in the community with like-minded individuals and organisations.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you mentioned I'm also an Osmum. I always say there's a ninja in the room everywhere I go these days because I love that. I call us the Osmum queens and ninjas. But and I'm the same as you. Finding those networking groups when I stepped out of where people knew me really well in what I was doing, into small businesses where nobody had a clue what I was or what I did or how I did it. And I suppose COVID gave me the gift that all of a sudden everyone went, hang on, that's what Robin's been talking about. That's what she does. Um, but before that, it was really hard. But I also found going down to Osmum, it was a very safe place to network. You felt very like we've talked about this. I walked into that room and went, I'm the oldest person here, and I feel like somebody's mum. Um, I feel like this room isn't for me. And I had to be dragged kicking and screaming from Queensland by one of my beautiful clients, Nicole. 'Cause she was up for the award and she wanted a cheer squad, and I was the cheer squad. But telling people what you do in those safe places when you're networking and they want to know more about you does form those connections. Because I walked away from Osmum, where it wasn't my thing to be there, where all of a sudden people are giving me shout outs. People that I didn't even know are giving me shout outs saying, oh, you want to do that, you need Robin. Like I wasn't even there for me. I was handing out Nicole's business cards. So people were finding me. They were finding me. And that finding those safe places, I think, is really important, especially for women, finding those safe networking groups because let's face it, there's a lot of networking groups out there, and trying to find the one that's the right fit for you. Um, because it must have been hard. I can only imagine going into anything networking saying I run a cleaning business.
Yeah. There was always a bit of a thing in the background with me is, am I good enough to be here? Am
Yeah,
I, but am I sharing my story with the right people who are actually not going to take advantage of that, or, sort of, uh, what's the word? Kind of take the mickey out of you,
yeah,
that sort of talking behind your back, like, oh, she's just a cleaner, she's
yes,
just got a
yeah,
tiny little business, she's just a
yeah,
cleaner.
yeah,
Um, and I found with the Osmum group specifically that a
mm,
lot of the women there, they just actually wanted to hear about you and what
yeah,
you're achieving in a positive way, but not to compete with you, but
yeah,
to understand a bit more about your business and how to collaborate with you. And I think over the 15-year journey and prior to Osmum, I didn't find that. There was
yeah,
very little of that. And in a
yeah,
lot of networking groups, it was, and this is only my personal experience, was women were trying to fight over women to get to the top rather
yeah,
than, they would see one role and go, well, I'm going to climb over everyone to get there. But
yeah,
if multiple people had have combined together to collaborate, we
yeah,
could have all got that person there faster. Do you know what
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah,
we
yeah,
help
yeah,
lift them
yeah,
up to where they
yeah.
want to be
And
without the need to compete.
absolutely. And it's so true because I remember, and I don't know if you remember back in the earlier days when I was first going to Osmum, there was some women that I met and they were all in a particular industry in a particular area, let's say of Sydney, that was quite competitive. And I'm like, have you met so and so? She does the same as you. And they were like, oh no, she's our competition. And then five of them got together and got a Nickelodeon deal. Like that would never have happened had they not been in that room and we had not had the conversations about, you really need to meet this person because, and I put it to one of them. I said, so I know girlfriends who have got their daughters in what you have, what you offer. And they've always got these clothes that they can't get rid of, and everybody's got the same problem. You could be sharing those for your performances and things like that. And all of a sudden, I think the light went on with one of them, and then the light went off with the rest of them. And by the end of like what, 3 days with
Yeah.
there, by the end of 3 days, they're great mates. And then the following year, they got a Nickelodeon deal. I mean, like that's just you don't hear about those things, and that's that collaboration and that connection that if it's authentic and if you just open yourself, I think sometimes to those, you walk through a door, and I always say to anybody, any of the younger ones that I work with or new businesses, when you walk through a door, that is opportunity opening for you. What are you going to do with that? Are you just going to go to the one person that you think is aligned with you and just build a connection with them, which is great, but what other opportunities might you be missing in the room? And it also goes in reverse. Like I speak at things, organizations, where they build their organizations, networking organizations, they build it on, we network, we connect, we give you shout outs. If you're part of our networking organization, that's what we'll do for you. I go in, I speak in those rooms, I walk out, and nobody connects with me. Nobody links in with me. And I'm like, if you're teaching true connection, then everyone should be linking and reaching out to whoever the speaker is, because there's an opportunity. There's an opportunity for their audience, for you to be part of their audience. They probably don't necessarily need to be part of your audience, but there's an opportunity for you to reach out and I always do. If I hear, I don't do it with every speaker these days, but if I hear someone who's a really great speaker or something I've been at and I've just gone, wow, I will reach out to them on LinkedIn usually and say to them, that was fantastic. I love what you said about whatever has connected with me. And I'd love to connect and discuss further. And my LinkedIn has people on it that people go, wow, your LinkedIn was so and so. And it's like, yep, because I reached out to them and then that connection grew from there. So how do we get women, older women, younger women, how do we get them to step back from this really competitiveness, from that, gone are the days when we need to claw ourselves to the top, where we need to prove ourselves. How do we just not dial it back, but how do we step back a little bit and prove that there's room for everyone? Like I've proven with my writers that, and you've proven with the women who work for you, and they're loyal to you, as are my writers for me, that there's room for all of us, in this world.
Look, I think the first thing is for those of us that are recognizing it, that we actually start leading the way and we be really, the values of Goddess is openness, honesty, and transparency, right? Because you can't hide behind any of that.
Yeah.
If you come to the table with that, you're encouraging the person opposite you or the group around you to be that. And now, if those people don't want to come on board and they don't want to embrace that, that's okay. You know that those women are not ready for that. They're not ready to join that. I call them my,
Yeah.
women tribe.
Yeah.
They're not ready to be that. And that's okay. But the more that we step in and do that, the more that we start talking our truth about wanting collaboration over competition,
Mm.
hopefully more women will come and say, yeah, actually, I think you're onto something. Like, this is exhausting doing it on my own. This is
Yeah.
exhausting trying to get a piece of the pie when I can collaborate with you and we can get a piece of the pie each
Yeah. Yeah.
and still be
Exactly.
successful in our own right. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we find Goddess is a certified social enterprise, from social traders. And when I first started on this journey, I found that no other social enterprise wanted to talk to me because they didn't want to collaborate. They wanted a big piece of the pie because in the cleaning industry, the profit
Mm,
margins are so small. And I'm like, well, why don't we actually build strong commercially viable businesses with good profit margins, but we do it together?
yeah.
You have a service, you've been in the industry a lot longer than me. You've got a service that I could utilize. If I went to tender, if I went to and
Mm,
applied to a tender, why
yeah.
couldn't I engage you in a joint venture? Why
Yeah.
wouldn't you come to the table with that? And
Yeah.
instead of someone saying, we would be happy to do that, we'll be a part of that, they've been looking at it going, no, 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 we want the whole pie. Like,
Mm.
well, you've probably got a better chance of
Yeah.
getting a piece of the pie when you do it
They
as a
they
joint venture.
might do, but as somebody who used to assess tenders, they mightn't necessarily get it. So, and the way, and I can speak from from what I know, the way tenders go these days is local gets a higher percentage. So if you're in an area and you're local and you're collaborating with somebody in that area, you've got a higher chance of getting that tender. Plus, since we had the great toilet, let's call it the great toilet roll shortage of the world, um,
Yes.
and you would have known that in the cleaning.
Yes.
Since we've had that, the tender people who put tenders out to offer now are very conscious that a business might fall over in the heartbeat, and we see it every day. Like there's just big businesses falling over. So those ones that collaborate with lots of different ones, they like, okay, so there's always a B plan within that collaboration. So collaborative tenders are more powerful these days. Um, it's a strategy for building businesses, for building smaller businesses. And I'm very proud to say I've had a lot of Davids that have won over Goliaths that have held tenders for like tens of years, um, because we've made that argument that they're very agile and they can move in a heartbeat and they can back in and support each other. And if supply runs short here, they can pick it up there. Yeah, and that their supply chain can be a lot stronger by doing that. So that's great. So what else have you got happening? Tell me what else. What's brewing? What's happening? I know on the quiet you might be heading up my way. Um,
Yeah, so last year we did open in Brisbane. So we have a client up there that we're doing a little bit of work for, and our clients in Melbourne are now saying to us, "Oh, you're in Brisbane. We can offer you some opportunities up there." So we've got lots of really good conversations happening and clients coming on board, so we can expand on our workforce, which is great. Um, you know, 1 in 3 women are now affected by family or domestic violence, and
mm,
that includes, them being disadvantaged, having barriers to employment. So, our goal for the next 4 years, so until we get to 2030, we want to reach and be able to have a positive impact on another 500 individuals. So Brisbane is a big goal of us because we've got feedback from some community groups up there that they've got a number of women who are actively looking for roles that cannot get employment, and they're really
mm,
struggling.
mm,
So with that, we actually did open another business, or founded another business, Goddess Sanitary and Hygiene. So we now in-house supply service and install sanitary bins, also sanitary item dispensers. So corporates are now starting to supply tampons and pads in bathrooms.
mhm,
And so we can service and supply those, and any other hygiene item like your air fresheners, hand towel
yeah,
dispensers, hand soap dispensers, that sort of stuff. It gives individuals who may not have the capacity to do the cleaning, if they have a back injury or they just cannot do the cleaning, that will
mhm,
give them a really good opportunity to still get in the workforce and
mhm,
contribute back to their community, but also back into their family, and they don't have to worry about any sort of inability to be able to carry heavy objects.
That's fantastic. That's great that you've extended it out to that. So what else? Is there anything else you want to share with us? What else are you up to?
Well, one of our big goals over the last couple of years is to really get some good um, guidance and development around, I guess, us as an organisation. So we were successful last year in becoming a part of the MERVAC development program, and I'm currently working with a mentor there. That's kind of um, identified a couple of secret opportunities, which I think give me another 12 months, Robin, and I'll come back
Yeah,
to you and
yeah.
have another conversation about that. But I think, it's just giving Goddess an opportunity to create a really solid platform and service opportunities so that we can, reach out to many more people.
Mm,
But yeah, I'm very grateful for the connections that have occurred with that. The team at Mirvac are amazing.
yeah.
And other members of the cohort are absolutely brilliant, and they all have different service offerings, not within the cleaning industry, but lots of different unique little areas. So I think it's given me the opportunity to collaborate with different organisations who have different service offerings, but also for me to start thinking outside the box. Well, how can we collaborate with them and vice versa? What can we do to support them? Because at the end of the day, there's plenty of cleaning to go around for everyone. There's plenty of opportunities for businesses. We've just got to unearth them in a more organic way rather than a strict corporate,
Mm, mm.
foothold, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you talk about how much opportunity, I run I've lost count. It's 80 something community pages up here in Queensland. And
What?
there's always yeah,
Are
well,
you
I
mad?
have some help. I have some help and they pretty much admin themselves. It's pretty good, but different suburbs. But I know the suburb I live in, and there's a lot of suburbs around me that they're always putting the call out. Does anybody have a reliable cleaner? They're always looking for someone because in households where both mum and dad are working and they've got kids and life's busy, just that little bit of help around home. So I'm always happy if you want to give me some blurbs, I'm always happy to push them out and share them there just to share you up our way here.
That would
And,
be
and
amazing.
the area that I live in, there's a lot of Victorians buying and moving up here.
Yeah, because we don't like the cold down here. We're
No,
sick of what's happening to our state, and
yeah, but yeah, we all have our challenges, and up here they all complain. You see them all getting air conditioning, more air conditioning put in at Christmas time, or there's pools always going in because our heat does get a little bit hot. Um, but but they're the ones that are still swimming in March and April where we just don't. It's too cold.
yeah, the Victorians, they'll swim the whole time. They're like, the sun's out, I'm in.
I'm in. I'm in. Yeah. So, is there anything else just before we round up and finish, is there anything else that you're doing or you want to give a shout out to or anything?
Look, I think we've covered all the bases. To be honest, I probably would like to encourage, anyone that's watching or listening, like, how can you collaborate with someone? What's going to be the most ideal collaboration for you? And who is someone that you admire that you
Mm,
can actually approach and say, hey, can I pick your brains a little bit?
yeah.
I fangirled a number of people over,
Yeah.
my career and thought, oh God, they'll think I'm a stalker. I'm not going to contact them. And I fangirled someone last week. I was at an event last Friday,
Mm,
and when I realized it was this person, I was gobsmacked. And then I was sitting next to them. I'm like, I cannot believe, like, you are the best speaker, one of the best speakers I've ever watched. And I
yeah.
just remember watching you in awe, thinking, holy moly, I wish I could speak like that. I wish I could present like that. I wish I had the confidence to do that. And she's like, why
Mm.
don't you hit me up and I'll give you some,
Tip.
tips and stuff like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
are you for real? This lady that I was,
Yeah.
fangirling
Yeah.
over has just said, I'll give you a hand, no
Yeah.
problem. So I think as women, if we start coming to some conversations with a little bit more vulnerability and, saying how we feel, um, the people are not going to judge us.
No.
Good women don't judge. Good women just
No.
get on with it. They want to
Yeah.
lift you up. So
Yeah, exactly.
maybe as women, can we create a little bit more vulnerability about what we're doing? And, you know, honestly, Robin, you hit the nail on the head at the start. Running a business is hard. It is
Mm.
absolutely, next to parenting, has been the most difficult thing of my life.
Hardest
Um,
thing ever.
but has been the most rewarding. And if as women we come to the table and say, you know what, today was terrible, I've had a real shocker, or this is what I'm looking for. Do you know anyone who might be able to assist? Can I reach out
Mm.
to them? You know, I would. always say yes to someone who reached out to me that would want guidance. I've had people reach out to me that want to start a cleaning business. How do I do
Yeah.
it? I'm like, come see me. I'll chat to
Yeah.
you. I'll
Yeah.
tell you
Yeah.
the good, the bad, and the really ugly stuff. Um, but I want you to succeed. If this is something you're passionate about, I want you to succeed. And it's not
Mm.
at the detriment of Goddess,
No.
because there's plenty of cleaning to go around, just like there's lots of authors and publishers. And if someone wants to publish a book, then you would encourage them to find the right publisher for them, right?
Yeah.
And if that's not in your
Absolutely.
ballpark, that's not in your ballpark. You have
Absolutely.
to be, realistic about it and be a little bit vulnerable.
Yeah. Yeah. True. True. Thank you very much. Beautiful Stacey from Goddess Cleaning Group. I'll put all the links in the blurb here. Thank you for watching. Thanks, Stacey. Bye.
Bye.